Welcome back. Now let's talk about the executive-legislative relationship. And the relationship between the legislature and the executive is crucial, and it's one of the essential characteristics of a model of government. The nature of legislature-executive relations is the presidential system has, however, attracted a wide variety of viewpoints, both about conflicts and cooperation, and whether benefits or liabilities. You know, people have different views. How does it benefit, you know, if you have a smooth relationship between the legislature and the executive? In Nigeria, there seems to be consistent rift between the two arms. If it's not about inclusion or exclusion in the national budget, it's about confirmation of nominees or other issues, which negatively affects the Nigerian people. So how can this relationship be better?
In fact, some people say it can never be better, because if it's better, then there's a problem.
Then there's a problem. Okay, we have people in the house who are going to, you know, talk to us about this. And let me welcome Kenneth Odidika, who is a legal practitioner. Good to have you here this morning.
Thank you. Good to be here.
And also we have another legal practitioner, Tony Daniel. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Okay, so let me start with you.
Yes.
The relationship between the executive and the legislature. How should it be?
In a democratic dispensation, there is separation of powers. We have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. You know, to enhance good governance, they should cooperate, and but to also enhance checks and balances, they are created to watch the order. But what we have observed recently is that one, the legislature is not being allowed to really do their jobs, and the judiciary too, when they pass judgment, the executive selects the judgment to obey, and this is not good in a democracy. It is not good at all. And if you are talking about the relationship between the arms of government, you will naturally want to talk of the current development, the impasse as regard the confirmation of the current is he acting?
Acting chairman.
Yes, a lot of arguments have been proposed, but with the utmost respect to learned professors and the learned SAN vice president, these are people we respect. But the law is clear. Once there is an appointment, whether the person is acting or not, the person is singled out from nowhere, haven't been seen to be qualified, and pronounced to have been appointed. And when the word subject to is put in any law, it means that thing you have done, you can do it, but it will not become effective until that other thing that the word subject to was used for, which means the legislature has the power to make law. So the EFCC Act was made by the legislature, and they deliberately put there that the appointment of the chairman and the secretary and other members, except the ex-official member, will be appointed by the president, subject to confirmation by the House. But people are looking at Section 171 of the Constitution as saying that the office of the EFCC chairman was not included. That means the what do you call it, extra ministerial department. For God's sake, if you look at that section, it talks about ministers, and talks about extra ministerial department, which flows from the word minister. So is EFCC a ministry or an extra ministerial department? It is not.
Okay, let's go to Mr. Odidika. He has said that the legislature is not being allowed to do its job. What's your take?
Thank you very much. I don't know if I would use the word not being allowed. You see, first thing, there's something we need to understand, and that is most of the time, those people up there do not have the interest of the generality of the people at heart. That is the first thing we have to understand. So the fight is not usually even for our sake. It is for themselves. Each of them has an ego that's bigger than Federal Capital Territory. and then they also need to stuff their pockets. Well, we understand that. So we see that it's not a matter of being allowed, because the executive, good, they control the police, will not walk into the chambers of the National Assembly and stop the Bukola Sarakis and the Dogaras from doing their work. It is that what is on the ground now is that a Bukola Saraki appreciates his powers constitutionally. Dogara appreciates his powers constitutionally. And they understand that they are an independent arm of government, just like the executive and just like the judiciary. And they decided not to kowtow to anybody. Do your work, we do our work. And the emergence of Saraki, because we need to tell ourselves the truth, was against the expectations and machinations of some powers that be. By the time they knew it, it was too late. Saraki had emerged as Senate President. Now, given this scenario, the impasse that he just talked about, the Magu issue, unfortunately, we must try to separate sentiments. The law is the law, like my learned friend has said, and the law really is that the Constitution is the supreme law, and any law that's inconsistent with it will, to the extent of inconsistency, be null and void. Unfortunately, for even me, because I would have preferred the supremacy in this circumstance of the EFCC Act, but unfortunately, it's subject and subordinated to the Constitution. And that section 171 my learned friend talked about actually names some offices that will be subject to confirmation by the Senate. Yeah. And non-inclusion means inclusion, or inclusion means non-inclusion. That is to say, if you state some things, then that means the ones you didn't state are not part of it. Yes. Which you understand very well, which is why he started explaining extra-ministerial. An extra-ministerial institution, agency, is one that's not subject to any ministry. Ministerial control. Yes. It is one that's not subject to any ministerial control. So that is to say that, as it is, EFCC actually, ordinarily, by my own interpretation, I don't even know why they are afraid of going to Supreme Court for this interpretation, so we can all stop all this argument back and forth. Because I don't know why even the acting president cannot direct the Attorney General to take it to the Supreme Court, and within a month we'll have this thing done over with and nobody will talk about it anymore. Anyway, my own interpretation is that I do not quite agree with my learned friend. Unfortunately, so, because I would have preferred that. Because if the AFCC was to be an extra-ministerial agency, as I take it to be, that means it's not the chairman would not be subject to that. However, there's legal burden, there's moral burden. Over the years, and even currently, you people took the name of Magu and sent to Senate for confirmation. And Senate rejected Magu twice. In fact, the one I watched, seriously speaking, I've known Magu for a long time. I knew him when he was in Lagos. A much junior officer than being the chairman now. That performance, or if we call it that, disqualifies Magu even without the report. That performance before the Senate. Now, having sent him, and the Nigerians who observed, they watched him perform, and the same Senate you said confirm, because I brought him under the EFCC Act, says, sorry, I don't want this man, for several reasons. And the EFCC chairman is not a small position. It's not something I can say, okay, it doesn't matter. It does matter. There is something hanging on his neck. A report from DSS says this man has integrity issues. And this is the man that should be superintending and investigating all integrity issues. Whether true or false, currently that's what we have.
Okay. Mr. Idika, please hold your thoughts. We'll take a moment. I'll be back shortly. Don't go away.